Hey, everybody, welcome to the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bello, and today I've got personal branding expert and founder of SimpleBe, Jessica Zweig. Jessica, welcome to the show.
So good to be here, Chris. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here, and I'm really excited to just talk about your message, your authenticity, your story, and how we were just talking about before we hit record. While people may look at us and our platforms and say, wow, they have it all together, they're so successful, we want to talk about under the hood and the realities and the struggles that we often face that other people may not understand, that we are just like them, maybe just a little further ahead in some cases, right?
Exactly. Nobody is an overnight success. Yes. Thank you for having me. I'm so pumped to have this conversation. I think it's such a necessary one. Entrepreneurship is so hot and trendy, and everyone wants to work for themselves and start their own business. And we can look at people who have big platforms as like a guidepost of like, okay, that's what I want to do. But I think it's really valuable and honestly necessary and important to talk about, the hardships and what it really takes and how it's not, always what you see.
Absolutely. So I guess dive into it. I mean, are you struggling with anything right now? Is there anything you're working through? I know 2020 was kind of crazy in its own way for everybody. So if you'd like to dive into a part of your story or your history or something that you overcame, I mean, I'll let you take it and run.
Yeah. So thank you. So, I mean, I've been around a long time. I look a lot older. I look a lot younger, I should say, than I am. And
Are you a vampire?
I like to be. People are like, Jessica, you're aging backwards. I'm like, I'll take it. I'll
Benjamin Button.
Trying, I'm trying, but I've been around a minute, and I started my first business. This is my second SimpleBe, and my first business was in 2008.
Okay.
And I ran that business for 7 years. It was a very popular online magazine, really built my personal brand at the time, really got, out there and built my network. I ran like what was the biggest, most popular online magazine for women in the city of Chicago for 7 years.
Awesome.
And it was an amazing chapter, and it was an amazing ride. And we grew 100,000 local readers, and we worked with all these big brands and hotspots in Chicago. And, I became kind of like, actually was featured in a local magazine at one point. And that chapter is like one of top 10 Chicago it girls. And I just thought I was really cool, Chris. I was really operating from a lot of ego at that chapter of my life. And while I was seemingly very successful on the outside, inside was a very different story. Everyone wanted to work at Cheeky. Everyone wanted to work with Cheeky. Cheeky was the name of the business. And I was, never cool in high school. I was a big ass nerd, and you can imagine the retribution I felt in my late 20s after being bullied and boys never wanting to date me and no girls wanting to be friends with me, and sitting at the oddball lunch table. And that was my life. And then all of a sudden I had this really popular business in the city, and I just really had a very strong, actually, I should say false sense of confidence, because I hadn't really done the real work, at that stage in my life. And so the long and the short of it is, I ran that business for 7 years. We ended up essentially running out of money. We had thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in credit card debt. Had a really toxic relationship with my former partner, got really physically sick, suffered from a ton of emotional anxiety attacks and depression, and ended up really making the choice to walk away. And that decision was one of the hardest decisions of my life, because, those who are listening or entrepreneurs, that your business isn't separate from you. It is you. Mm-hmm. And so to walk away from the thing you created was like selling your baby or like cutting off your own foot. Like, it was hard to register that choice, but I knew in my soul that I was out of alignment. I was operating from a place of ego. I wasn't in integrity, and I really wasn't following my purpose. Like, I didn't want to host cocktail parties and write about fashion for the rest of my life. Like,
right.
I wanted to help people. I wanted to serve. And so that was really the beginning, I think, of the beginning. And I really started this very, very deep spiritual journey to unpack the mess, to be frank, that I had made. I was terrible with money. I was not the best business partner. I was a horrible leader. There was a lot of problems that, I co-created. And it's so easy to point the finger and be like, oh, my business partner sucked, or the clients weren't paying us in time, or, my staff were assholes. Like, no,
Right.
Jessica, like put a mirror up to your face and look at yourself and say, how did I create this? And it was really that activation that set me on this path of authenticity on a personal level. And on the professional level, it was ironic. It was interesting because I left this magazine and I knew I was going to start this next thing called SimpleBe Agency, which at the time, back in 2014, was a one-woman shop, just me, and my consulting brain on, marketing and branding and people who needed my help. And I launched my second company. At the time, again, was not even a company, with a Facebook post and an email that I sent out to my network. That's all I did. And within a week, literally 1 week after leaving Cheeky, I had 5 figures worth of revenue and like a client retainer list of big ass clients. It was awesome. And it was also kind of confusing. It was like, wow,
what do I do next?
what do I do next? And like, all these people don't even really know what I do. They know the story of what I do. They know my brand. I have a personal brand, I guess. And that was really the beginning of the work that I do now, because I do believe in the power of having a personal brand. It's what I teach at SimpleBe Agency. It's what my book is about. And there's so many people talking about personal branding, but I have a very different approach to it. It is about authenticity. It's about showing up fully, unapologetically expressed. And that is actually the secret sauce to magnetizing your right clients and your right community and your right team. When you vibrate at this frequency of like, hey, this is me, my light, my shadow, my failures, my triumphs, like my good, my bad, like that.
Take it or leave it, right?
Take it or leave it. And that's the mission and the path that I'm on, is to just bring more humanity to work.
I love that. I mean, I talked to several people, like I mentioned, I'm in real estate, and one guy I interviewed, he was saying, I mean, he's a surfer dude from I guess he lives in California, and he felt like he wasn't in alignment with what he wanted to do, right? He was selling luxury homes and wearing the suits that didn't fit, but he wanted to just be in a hoodie, going and surfing and hanging out. And so he ended up finding that alignment for himself, for example, and moving away from that. And now he's like digital nomad and doing remote stuff and real estate investing. But it takes sometimes, maybe like you said in your story, going down another path where you have everything that people think they would want and they think you're all successful and happy. But deep down you felt, while I have this and I've achieved these things, it's not really fulfilling me.
I mean, exactly. And what I would encourage people to think about, and your listeners, is get quiet enough to be with yourself. Like we all hustle, we all burn out at some stage, like rinse and repeat. And there's this phrase I love, like, listen to the whispers before they become screams. And you really got to slow down and create space for yourself to simply be, to hear the truth of your soul. And always necessarily mean like go change paths. Sometimes that can give you the more fire in your belly to keep going, doing the thing you're doing. But one of the biggest transformations that I've had is just really being with myself. Like I picked up meditation. I travel alone. I'm married. I have an amazing, group of girlfriends. Like I love to travel with them, but at least once a year I take a trip by myself for a week and I just go into nature and I connect to my spirit guides and like do Jessica and whatever that form looks like to you. I think as entrepreneurs, we're always in execution mode. And in order to really know what is true for you, you have to go within. And I just really encourage people to figure out what that looks like for them.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, like you said, we're always in go mode, hustle mode, and we're always on. I mean, clients text you, everyone's got your contact information. If you're working with clients, I mean, your cell phone's always dinging or ringing or different notifications. I think I saw in your story, you got your husband addicted to Clubhouse, right?
Yeah, now that's my new thing. Yep.
That's another one where I'm like, one guy in the Clubhouse group yesterday about podcasting, I'm trying to get, the tips from the other podcasters. One guy's like, hey guys, it's 8 p.m. We want to stay married. Like, let's log out here soon, because now there's constant distractions and chatter. And I was finding that too. Like I wanted to have one earphone in at the dinner table with my girlfriend. I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave this room real quick because it's dinner time, right? So
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
crazy.
I got my husband on Clubhouse.
I saw that.
Kill me for saying this, but he's like, well, this is one more thing that's going to get in the way of our sex life. He's like,
For real,
what else? Nothing new. Married for 10 years. But it's so true.
Distractions and like TV and just different things and like schedules. I mean, we were just talking about that, me and someone else today, about how that affects everything, relationships, sex life, like people living together all the time. There's no, okay, we're home now. It's home time. Everyone's just mostly working remotely from home together all the time. And that affects all aspects of your life. And burnout is definitely very real, I guess, whether in your relationship or your business.
Absolutely. And I mean, my husband and I work together. I brought him on in my business this year, and it's been amazing actually. But that has been a huge, I think, struggle for people in COVID times, like the zero separation between work and life. And, you know, as an entrepreneur, I mean, forget if you work for a company, like if you work for yourself, holy crap, you know, like you really never are off, you know, gone through quite a bit of 2020 was amazing. My business grew by 40% in 2020, but it was also really hard. And I, you know, burnt out pretty much halfway through the year because it was a 24/7, I call it siege, you know, to keep my business afloat in a pandemic as a small business in America. It was really, really hard. It took all of me, you know. That's why I'm saying you got to find time for you, COVID or not. Like, go into your office, close the door, put on your favorite music, jam out for 15 minutes. Like, that can be healing. That can recalibrate your energy. You know, like I said, self-care, meditation, there's all of this like stigma and projections of what that needs to look like. And I mean, taking a nap, reading a book, like,
any of those things,
playing with your kids, having a conversation with your girlfriend, like a nourishing laugh, that to me is meditation. That is self-care. So you got to find those spaces or you're not going to thrive.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, I also heard recently that, I mean, so many of us are trying to get to some point in the future where we think we're going to be happy when we hit our goals, and the past is behind us. We can't really change it. We can learn from it, but the future's not really here. All we really have is the infinite present moment. And so we have to learn to appreciate what's good now. Sure, maybe business isn't going that great. What is going great? And take that time for yourself. Don't just wait. And I think that's something that we all need to hear, because I mean, tomorrow is not promised, obviously. A lot of us, I mean, 2020 has opened our eyes to that. But even without COVID, I mean, life is pretty fragile sometimes, and we have to make the most of every minute. So I love that message. I'm going to meditate after this, probably, or take a nap or something.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's easy to feel guilty, right? Oh, I can't take a nap. I have too much work to do.
It is. It's so true. Like, I saw on Instagram recently, like naps are like, napping is a form of resistance or something like that. Like, really, really just taking care of yourself. That is a shift that I've made, honestly, and making. We're really early into 2021. So ask me in a month or two, Chris, how I'm feeling about this. But I really have tapped into flow, like the energy of flow. You know, as a entrepreneur, to some degree, you've got to be type A, control freak. At least I am.
You need a good dose of it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Like you got to get shit done. You got to work hard and be switched on. And I often say, when you work for yourself, you don't have to answer to anybody, but you have to answer to everybody.
Ooh,
it's
powerful.
Truth.
That's true.
Truth. And instead of trying to control it all and make sure every little thing is checked off and my schedule is just the way it needs to be, and my team is doing exactly what I want them to be, and you got no control over anything, really. And so surrendering, trusting, allowing, flowing, that is I think, medicine and the counter to living a big life, is like really trusting that it's all going to work out and that it's all happening in its own perfect divine time. And that is a conscious choice on a daily basis. And that's really what I've been practicing lately. It's helping.
That's a very powerful message, because I mean, entrepreneurs, type A people, we like to be in control. We like to, affect the outcome. And sometimes we can't always do that. We have to let go, which is hard. Trust in the greater power to help us, and whatever that is, whatever people believe in. I mean, I've gotten more woo woo lately. I always joke about this because some people are like, oh, I don't believe in woo woo stuff. I don't meditate. And some people are like, I love that, surrendering to the infinite possibilities. And it feels amazing when you surrender and you just say, like, I did what I can do. The rest is happening for me now. Like, the rest will happen and it's on its way.
Yes, exactly. And also a practice that I think is really powerful for people who are listening to think about is like, things are inevitably going to go wrong, right? Like, things are not going to always work out in the way that you want them to. You're going to not get the client you need. You're going to have someone quit on you. You're going to like post something that had backlash. Like, I don't know, name the scenario. As an entrepreneur, there's millions. Looking at each and every one of those situations and telling yourself, this is happening for me, not to me. The victim mentality, like, is something I've really worked my way out of like, if a client doesn't want to work with me, that's an opening for someone else who does. If someone doesn't want to work with me or at my company, that's an opening for someone who is better. Like, if I post something that offends someone, I learn something, I evolved. And really, really remembering in the thick of those moments, like, it's easy to look back and be like, yep, that happened for a reason. But in the moment of really stopping and taking a breath and being like, all right, I'm going to trust that even though this sucks, I'm scared, I'm stressed, this is happening for my highest good. It's life-changing when you can come from that place.
Yeah. And what you said there, I mean, it can be difficult. Many of us can look back and look at the good. Okay, I guess I could see how that was beneficial. But when you're in it, that's when it gets hard to see the positive, right? I mean, business partners, like you said, toxic relationships. I mean, I share a story on my show where I had a business partner. We didn't really have a business. We were trying to do something. And when we decided to part ways, he maxed out the company credit card. It wasn't like crazy, but for me at the time, I mean, 10 grand was like more than I quit my job to try something and I wasn't making money. So 10 grand was 10 grand I didn't have.
Wow.
And in the moment, I mean, I remember waking up and I was like, no, this had to have been a dream. And I'm like, oh no, that's real. He maxed out this card and I'm personally liable for it for whatever reason. Didn't have an operating agreement, but I learned a ton of lessons along the way. And now I can see, okay, well, I'm never going to make that mistake again. I know how to approach that in the future, but I'm not closed off to future partnerships or business relationships either. So I was hurt and I learned a lesson, and now I'll just go into the next one, more intelligently and maybe more buttoned up a little bit. But just like you said, things are always going to go wrong. There's no such thing as a perfect path.
Thank you for sharing that with me, Chris. That's such a powerful story and so valuable for people to hear, because our failures, they don't define us, and at the same time, they absolutely define us. And I don't believe that I say this a lot, like, you don't win or lose, you win or you learn. We fail forward. So when you have, I have lots of stories like that one, and they made me. Like, I wouldn't go back, to be honest, and change a thing. And you've got to trust. And I know that maybe some of the people who don't listen to your show are as woo-woo as I am, but I'm pretty damn
like,
woo.
Trust, okay. Like, that's right. Not going to pay the bills, right?
Right, exactly. But, everything, some pragmatic woo, if I may say, like,
sure,
some advice. So you don't have control over anything but your own thoughts. You don't have control over the weather. You don't have control over the politics. You don't have control over your spouse or your employees. You don't have control over anything. You don't have control over shit. You do have control over one thing, your mind. And the power of choice. Just like shit hits the fan, like something blows up, you're $10,000 in debt. You can choose to say, this is the worst thing ever, and I'm going to crawl into a hole and cry and hate on my business partner and, scrape for scraps for the next 6 months, because that's clearly what my only option. Like, you can tell yourself these things, or you can say, okay, this happened. It sucks. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to own it. I'm going to bless and release my partner. That was a divine gift that we never did sign that operating agreement.
Yeah, like, we're not tied to anything, right? Yeah, I can see all the positives already.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Just the power of choice.
I love it. And, I sometimes, while I try not to, I'm like, well, he blocked me on all social media, so I can't even see his stuff from my main profile. But, you can go to another profile you have and kind of see what they're up to. No posts at all since last year. Website's down. Like, it says website was suspended. So I'm like, man, he must, karma came around and he did this to enough people where maybe they started to catch on, shut things down. You can't sustain a life of, that who you are. What goes around comes around, right? So it's just funny to see, since that incident happened, fast forward a few years, you and I mean, we left those toxic relationships. We sent emails, and I made a post too when I quit, my previous venture, on what I was doing next. And the people that resonated with me as a person and my personal brand and the values that I stand for, they're there on my email list for however they can support me in my next thing, which of course now I'm in real estate and I have this podcast. But I just really resonated with that when you said you posted that and you got clients on the first week. I had people that were like, Chris, I love your message, your podcast. Like, I don't know how to support you, but whatever it is that you do next, keep me posted. And that means so much, right?
Yes, absolutely. And that's such a powerful message for those listening. Like, you never know,
You don't.
You never know who's listening. You never know who's watching. And putting yourself out there isn't, I don't think, just an opportunity. I think it's a responsibility. Like, you can change people's lives. You can help people think about their day differently. You can help someone buy a house or find their, next space. I can help someone with their personal brand, or I can help someone think about their, fight with their mom this morning differently. I don't know.
Yeah.
But everyone has the ability to put themselves out there in a way that ultimately will drive your business if you do it right and consistently and clearly and, strategically. And these are the things that I talk about in my book and also teach about in my company. But you can also just make someone feel better that day. And that's a really powerful thing. And then you also never know, to your point, Chris, who's going to help you? Who could be that person? Maybe that person that signed up for your email list isn't going to buy real estate with you, but they know someone else who needs to.
Yeah. You never know. I guess that's a blessing and a curse in a way, because I feel guilty. I mean, this was before COVID and stuff, but for example, I think, or maybe this was when COVID happened, I can't remember. We had gone to Target before all the lockdowns and stuff, and we were like, how bad is this? Can we still go out in public? I can't remember when this was, but anyway, I heard 2 Target employees. My girlfriend wanted to do Black Friday shopping. I heard 2 people saying oh, I'm working on getting my credit score up. I want to buy a house. And like a dog hearing the word walk, my ears perked up, and I'm like, they want to buy a house? Should I squeeze into this conversation and share my information? So while there's a pro and a con, I know I could have helped them. Part of me was I'm here with my girlfriend. Let me be present in the moment. And that could be a $10,000 commission, but I don't want to even start that conversation where it's Chris, why are you're always focusing on business. You can never be, present in the moment. So I let it go, because I'm working on that, being present, knowing that other opportunities will come my way, thinking abundantly, right? I don't have to say yes to everything that comes up my way.
I love this. This makes me so happy. And I'm with you. One of the other words is present in my 2021.
Yes.
I'm working on flow and present. And in fact, I think the more discerning you are when it comes to boundaries and what's not for you and what you're not going to really stepping back from the hustle, to be frank, and being I don't need this client. I could actually say no to this. It actually makes you more attractive.
Well, yeah, that's true. It's when you're chasing a crush and they don't like you, and now you're I need to try to get this person to date me or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Versus if they say yes too soon, we don't value things that come too easily. So that's why we appreciate when we overcome these challenges, right? So I love what you said there, that's you've got words that you're focusing on for the year, almost like a theme, right?
I do. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
What other words are you focusing on this year? You said intention.
No, flow,
Flow.
presence, luminary. I want to
Okay.
be a light, lead the way, love, and highest vibes.
That's cool. Highest vibes.
Highest vibes. Like
That's so cool.
only positive energy. Like
Love it.
that anything below my frequency of positivity is not good. It doesn't belong.
Absolutely.
And that's key to, yes, becoming a magnet and up-leveling success, but it's also just the key to living a really joyful life.
100%. And when you take those clients, I just had this conversation with someone else on another episode that hasn't aired yet, but her name's Kayla Ibanez, and she was talking about this. If you take that client, it's going to just dampen your mood and you're not going to want to pick up the phone call. Is that someone you want to talk to for an hour every week while you're working with them on the project? If not, don't just look at the dollar signs and the potential. You have to make sure that you're attracting the right people with the same energy or higher energy than you that you want to work with.
Absolutely. Yes. You want to surround yourself with people who are going to either meet you at your frequency or up level you,
Absolutely.
Not bring you down.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how do you build in time into your day? Do you set meditation times? Like 1 p.m. is my number, my second meditation of the day, or you just take breaks as you need it, or?
It's so funny. I try to walk the talk, but it's hard. On a perfect morning, I wake up, I meditate, I have an altar, I create some sacred space, I journal. But that doesn't always happen. If I can squeeze that in like 3 days a week, that's a good week. My days are back to back. I'm in the middle of a book launch. So that's freaking running
Crazy.
2 companies at once, to be honest.
Yeah.
I am a huge bath girl. Like I love my a ritual bath with candles and salts and like music. And like, if I can end my day with that level of disconnection and, personal care, then that's a good day. I'm a sprinter and then I kind of crash. Like I sprint and I crash. And I used to think that was a bad thing. But in fact, I really think that it's part of my magic that I can like go that big and go that hard. And then I need to rest, And so I have that ability, like I can sprint pretty fast, pretty far. So for me, like the ways that I really take care of myself, obviously in a pre-COVID world, is travel. Like I just will like take a trip, go somewhere by myself or with friends, and just really truly disconnect for like a good week or 2. I do that a couple times a year at least. I try to travel often. I work for myself, right? So I don't have to worry about like PTO. I can just go, and that has been a really powerful tool in my toolkit.
That's super helpful. What are some of your favorite places you've traveled to? I'm a fan of traveling as well, pre-COVID and hopefully soon.
I've been to over 35 countries, so it's hard to
it's awesome.
It's hard to pick which ones are the favorite. I mean, Costa Rica is my happy place. I loved Thailand. I've been to all over Europe, and I think my favorite country in Europe is Portugal. I think Bali was pretty amazing. I've been to Israel. Israel was super, super cool.
Very cool.
Mexico is a special place to me. There's lots of places. I mean, it's really hard to pick my favorite place, but I just think traveling is an edge that like pushes us out of our comfort zone and helps us to really get a bigger perspective on the world and opens up our myopic view on our own dramatic, petty life. And that's really why I like to travel, is because it really opens my perspective and gets me back to, it humbles me. And anything I can really actively do to do that, I love to do. And it's been hard in COVID for sure.
Yeah, I totally feel you on that. I mean, I've gone to some of the places on that list as well: Thailand, Bali, Dubai, Vietnam. Like,
wow, man.
And there's nothing like when you're lost in a place where the people may not speak your language. It's kind of like fun. I remember jumping on one train to the next in Japan. It wasn't so fun because I was trying to get to the airport and I kept on like getting on the wrong trains and I wasn't going to the airport. I didn't understand like the instructions or like, how do I get there? So that wasn't fun. But usually when you're there and you're in the flow and you have 5 days left of vacation, you can afford to get lost in a new place where it's like, oh, how do I buy groceries? And this person doesn't understand what I'm saying. And I'm in Germany, like holding up coins and like, is this enough? Right. And just knowing how to say like, Dankeschön or whatever, I think is thank you. Right.
I think so. Yeah.
I think so. I learned how to say thank you everywhere I go, like arigato in Japan, Dankeschön in Germany. The experience that you have there of just seeing, like you said, you're not myopic. You're not just like, oh, I'm from this city in the US or wherever you may be. For my listeners globally, you know that there's other people and you feel small and you understand really a lot of the problems we have, like they're pretty insignificant. Yes. They're significant to us at some time, but like, I mean, unless you're like Jeff Bezos or something, I guess I can see how that's had global impact and a lot of people know who that is, but most people, if I go to Japan, they're going to be like, who the heck are you? You're in my way, like scoot over, right?
Yeah.
I may have a couple listeners out there. If I do, hit me up on Instagram, I'd love to chat, but I love what you said there, just opening up and broadening your horizons,
Yeah. I talk about that actually in my book, about how one of the most life-changing moments I've had is stepping off the plane in Bangkok.
Yeah.
And it was my first time I'd ever been to Asia, and I was literally like on the other side of the planet, and I was like, holy shit, I am so insignificant.
Yeah, like you hear little kids speaking different languages or 3 languages, and you're like, what are you saying? And like, they know a totally different life than you. And
totally. Yes.
The candies are different, right? Like the little packages. It's just so fun.
No one cares.
Where are you based out of right now? Are you living in Chicago? Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, traveling just opens up your mindset, and just the beauty of these Zoom calls as well with like our podcasts. I'm sure you jump on calls all the time. Oh, you're in Australia, you're in London, people in like the Philippines. I have calls with virtual assistants. I'm sure you have. Do you have any virtual assistants or anything right now? Or you're all local?
I have a
real person.
Yeah, he's amazing. Shout out to Brian. He's
awesome. He helped us coordinate the Zoom call for today.
He's my angel. I love Brian.
Very, very helpful. But I want to be respectful of your time. I know you said you have like another back-to-back meeting. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about before we share where our audience can find you?
No, thank you welcome to book launch, like back to back to back. And it's really a crazy time of my year, starting the year off crazy strong with a book launch on top of running a business. So I appreciate you getting me on your show and having this chat. And I just thought it was so chock full of wisdom, and I love where we went, and like so much value for your listeners, I hope. And, just remember to, on the path to entrepreneurship, take care of yourself. Like it really is a long game, and everything happens in perfect time. And so remembering that and trusting it's for you, not to you, and it will hopefully ease a little bit of the self-imposed pressure we put on ourselves.
Such a powerful message that we need, especially in this time of nonstop chatter, infinite apps to choose from, TV stations, YouTube videos, content like ours too sometimes can be a little overwhelming for people. So thank you for that breath of fresh air, literally. I mean, take that pause and get some fresh air, go for a little walk in the woods or do some meditation, take a nap. It's okay. Self-care. Yeah. I might take a bath tonight. I'm
definitely going to take a bath tonight.
Yeah. Cause a lot of times, you're like, whatever, but I have like 20 bath bombs that my girlfriend's had as gifts that she hasn't used. So I'm like, maybe bust that out later for sure. So thank you once again, Jessica. Where can our audience go to listen to your podcast, to pre-order your book? This should be going live, I think, first week of February. So your book's launching in February, right?
Yep. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So SimpleBe podcast, the SimpleBe podcast, you can find me over there. I talk about lifestyle, branding, spirituality. I talk to some really amazing people. And my book is called Be, a no bullshit guide to increasing your self-worth and net worth by simply being yourself. And it hits shelves February 16th. It's on pre-order now. Pre-order sales are so infinitely important for an author. And so support me, but support all authors. Like whenever you see someone pre-marketing their book, like $25 to invest in someone's like life's work it just really creates a good ripple effect in the world. And you can buy it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, support your independent local bookstores, wherever books are found. And then come hang out with me on Instagram. I'm at Jessica Zweig, and my website, jessicazweig.com.
Awesome. And I will link all that up in the show notes so our listeners can find you easily. Thank you once again, Jessica. Everyone make sure to go check out her book and pre-order, depending on when you're listening to this, or order it if it's already out. And Jessica, have a great 2021. I know you're going to do great things, and hopefully things get back to normal so we can get back traveling, right?
I know. And hopefully we see each other one day in person and I can give you a big hug. This was
For sure. Maybe we'll like cross paths in Bali or something. I want to go back there.
Me too. Let's manifest it. Let's put it out.
For sure. Well, thank you, Jessica. Once again, I appreciate your time and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too, Chris. Take care.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.